Good evening. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Dr. Foley, roll call, please.
President Kaler, members of the board, please let the record show that all members are present.
Thank you so much. We're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance followed, first a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, moving on to 2.1. I move that we approve the agenda. Second, any questions or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Next up is our superintendent's report. Dr. Foley.
President Kaler, members of the board, we will start this evening with the superintendent's report with our favorite part of our meeting, which is our celebrations. And we have high schools here tonight. We have winter guards here tonight, so we're excited. I'm going to invite Principal Alan Fields from Higley High School. We're going to start with Higley High School Points of Pride this evening.
First up, I want to invite Megan Ament up to join me. Megan is our certified staff point of pride. Megan is the ultimate team player. This fall, when a member of the math department was out for an extended period of time, Megan stepped up to ensure that all students continue to receive a quality education. Megan volunteered to teach the colleagues' students along with her own, teaching as many as 60 or more students at a time in our media center. Megan graded assignments, entered grades, and provided instruction for her classes as well as her colleagues without complaint or expectation for compensation. The fact that Megan cheerfully doubled her workload for several weeks just proves what we already knew. Megan is Superwoman. We're grateful to have Superwoman on our campus. Thank you.
She had Sadie.
She's awesome. Do you have anybody with you that you want to recognize? No? Okay. Let's get a picture. You be in the middle.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Next, if I can have Carla Tack come up, please. Carla is our classified point of pride. Carla is the attendance specialist at our school, and prior to that, she was a front desk receptionist. I consistently receive phone calls from parents or comments from visitors at campus letting me know how friendly, welcoming, and kind Carla is. She provides this phenomenal level of customer service while also completing one of the busiest and most stressful jobs in our front office. Carla maintains a warm and friendly demeanor on the surface while paddling like mad under the water to complete her job. Higley High School is proud to have Carla represent our campus. Carla, do you want to recognize the people that are here with you to support you?
You want me to recognize?
my goodness, okay.
So I'd like to recognize those that are here to support me. My husband, Barnaby Tack, my son Savio, and my daughter, Saria Tack. They'll be here. And my twins will be freshmen next year at Higley High.
Nice. If I could have Carolyn Lamoureux come up. Carolyn has volunteered at Higley High School for several years, serving as the leading member of the United Kingdom Booster Club. Carolyn has organized and led club events throughout this year to support the efforts of the United Kingdom. The club has supported staff and students, as well as improved the school in many ways. Carolyn has advocated on behalf of our school facility improvements. The club has provided meals for Higley High School staff during professional development days, supported student transition from middle school to high school, organized food truck Fridays on campus, sold Higley High School spirit swag, and organized welcome events for students and for staff. Carolyn's efforts help make Higley High School a better place for all staff and students. Thank you. You want to recognize who's with you?
No, because I didn't tell anybody to come.
Okay.
And grad night.
Yeah, we just haven't gotten tonight yet. And next, please, Peyton Pierce come up. Peyton is the Higley High School Air Force Junior ROTC Corps Commander this year, having been Flight Commander and Support Squadron Commander previous school years. Peyton is a hard worker and outstanding person who will take the initiative to accomplish any task set before her. Peyton's breadth of involvement across campus as a teammate, a leader, a mentor stand as a testament to her commitment and engagement. Whether she's tutoring peers, critiquing teammates' speech, conducting her own research and preparation for an academic decathlon competition, or choreographing a new drill sequence for the Air Force Junior ROTC drill team, Peyton infuses every ounce of her energy to ensure that the final project represents Higley High in the best possible light. Thanks, guys. Peyton, you want to recognize your parents?
So I have my mom, Trina Pierce, and my dad, Sean, with me here tonight. Thank you.
I'll let you jump on this side, yeah.
Okay, we have Mr. Tannenbaum and Mr. Stengel coming up so that we can celebrate our Williamsfield Points of Pride. And I will help hold.
Madam President, members of the governing board, Dr. Foley and cabinet, thank you for having us here this evening, allowing us to have an opportunity to support and celebrate all of our amazing people that have been chosen tonight for our Points of Pride. If I could first have Ms. Peden come up to the front. Ms. Peden is an inventive, creative, and solution-oriented educator who frequently comes up with new ways to innovate and approach all of her teaching and the students that she serves in student government. She is a teacher who leads by example with her staff as well as a department head in our social studies. She is constantly looking for ways to support her team and help to drive the social studies department. Even during her busiest times, Ms. Peden will always find time to make it a priority to put her students' needs first above herself, which speaks loudly about who she is and the purpose of an educator. As one of our student council advisors, Ms. Peden works countless hours to ensure that the school's activities are fun, engaging for the student body. She has created an environment where the council feels comfortable, yet motivated to try new things to go above and beyond as student leaders. Thank you, Ms. Peden.
I'd like to invite Michelle Cadiz to come up. Michelle is a credit to the Williamsfield family. She has an amazing work ethic, takes great pride in helping kids to ensure they have a first-class experience during their time at Williamsfield. She has a can-do attitude and a willingness to go the extra mile for coaches, teachers, kids to help create a positive culture throughout the school community. Michelle takes on extra duties during games to make sure students, coaches, and parents have a good experience at their time at Williamsfield. Truly a pleasure to have Michelle as a part of our front office staff. She's an integral part of the Williamsfield High School and a credit to the Blackhawk family.
Okay. My husband Orlando, and my daughter Mia and her boyfriend Tanner.
I'd like to invite Tim Raymond up, please. Mr. Raymond's been actively involved as a parent at Williamsfield for the entire 7 years I've been there. He's been very giving of his personal time, helps create a positive and fun atmosphere during our boys volleyball program, and is always willing to help to try to support the kids. He's also the announcer at the games and does a very, very entertaining job. And he also plays the music, and it's the one I enjoy the most because it's music I can understand that he plays. So, between sets, he creates fun atmospheres. They do Mario Kart races. They do all kinds of serving competitions and stuff to try to liven up the crowd. Mr. Raymond has worked as the booster president, has generated sponsorship that have helped allowed coaches to provide some extras for kids that help enhance their experience. Really appreciate how much Mr. Raymond has given to the volleyball program over the years and positively impacted the lives of kids in our program and Williamsfield High School. He is a credit to the Williamsfield family.
don't know what you're talking about. Williamsfield.
All right, thank you so much. What a treat.
Miss J.C. Foster, can you come on up? JC has a combination of positive attitude and never quit. JC has a strong ability to lead and influence people of all ages. She is frequently called upon to lead and plan school-wide activities to inspire inclusion and positivity and impact positive culture on our campus. She participates in Student Council, Black Student Union, Link Crew, and Fashion Club, to name a few. She is the first in line to volunteer her time to any cause that will give back to those in need. Staff members constantly express how impressed they are with her and her demeanor. She helps to lead by example and pushes her classmates, her peers, and her teachers to be better in every endeavor they have. As an administrator, it is incredibly fulfilling to witness a student make such a strong effort towards enhancing her academic and personal progress and goals. Thank you.
Oh, sure. My dad's here tonight, but my mom's in Philly for work, and my brother's at football camp. So thank you to all of them, spiritually. Thank you so much.
Go that way. I'm not in the frame, guys. Go that way. We need those X's.
Thank you to our Portents of Pride. We love celebrating our students, and we have more students to celebrate. I'm going to ask Mr. Sean Varner to come up, and I'm going to have Mr. Tannenbaum not go too far because we have some winter guard, color guard, percussion state champions in the house. Woo-hoo!
Wait for our crew to come on in. I'll go ahead and get started as they're still entering the room. First of all, thanks for having us here tonight, President Kaler, members of the board, cabinet. It's a pleasure to be able to introduce such outstanding students for what they've accomplished. This has become quite a tradition for us at Cooley Middle School when it comes to our band programs and our color guard program, introducing state champions, not just state participants, but state champions. It seems like each and every year we're here in the spring, and it's so exciting to talk about the accomplishments of these fine young men and women. We, at the middle school level, we came home from the state championships this year with percussion state championship and 2 color guard state championships. So we have 2 color guard teams and 2 state champions. Before I turn it over to Mr. Edgar, I would like to just talk about a little bit about the program. As Dr. Foley said to Mr. Tannenbaum, don't go very far because you're going to see that this success is carried over into Williamsfield High School as well, who we feed into, and it has become quite the program. Mr. Edgar, Ms. Huddle, Mrs. Edgar, they work with the Williamsfield students as well, and again, it has become quite the program program of success and quite the program of not only the success, but the fun and enjoyment that the students have. So with that, I want to bring up Mr. Edgar to talk more and brag about his program. Yes, absolutely. All right, come on up, Purple Guard. Black Guard, keeping that wrong. All right. So we have up first our Black Guard, which is the top middle school guard in the state. They're currently put into a division all by themselves so that somebody else can have an opportunity to win in the next one. So, outstanding job. This is our Cooley Black Guard. Years ago, and then COVID hit, and can you hear me all right? Well, there's a live stream. Oh, sorry. We introduced percussion ensemble into the program a couple years ago, and then COVID hit, so we're just to the point now where it's out in the competitive world. So this is our first place Cooley Black percussion ensemble, which is comprised of 8th grade students on our campus. Pull in tight here. It's pretty sad when the kids are taller. Good job. Next up on the Cooley front, we have our Cooley Purple Guard. Cooley Purple Guard. So I made reference to creating a separate division just for the previous guard group. This is our next group that went ahead and won the next division down. So super proud of these students. Phenomenal job, phenomenal growth. Cooley Purple Guard. So out of the 4 participating groups from Cooley Middle School in the WJZ Championships, we had 2 state champions on the guard side, state champion on the percussion side, and then the runner-up on the percussion side as well. So super proud of the students and all that they've been able to achieve this year. Great job to them.
So Mr. Varner was able to highlight some of the pieces already, but I do want to say and add to it that we're just so proud of the participation. with our students. We can see the progression from our 8th graders and as they exit Cooley and enter right into high school. And there's just an opportunity. We use the word dominate all the time, right? And that's something we say constantly. It's become part of who we are, and being able to see our students transition and be there and be supported and have that opportunity to go on and do this at the next level, at the high school level for them, it's super exciting. And it doesn't come without a lot of hard work. Again, I can't say it enough that our programs between marching band and winter guard and our winter season, they are some of the hardest working students and club advisors and coaches that I have ever seen in all of education, that the lights go out for everybody else and they're still out there at nighttime. So thank you so much, Mr. Egger and Ms. Huddle and Pam and everybody else that is the team that helps to support these kids. So I will turn it over to Mr. Egger. Congratulations, guys.
All right, come on down here. This is, again, speaking to the percussion ensemble aspect of our program. Again, a couple years ago, we introduced it. COVID happened, nothing really happened, so now we're out in the competitive realm. This is our high school percussion ensemble, the Williamsfield Black Percussion Ensemble, state champions in the Concert A class. So in regards to that group, that was our top group. The next group would be our percussion red ensemble, which is a runner-up as well. So the depth is in place, and it bodes well for our future. Next up, we're going to shift gears to guard at Williamsfield. I gotta brag on these guys a little bit. Not that I haven't been bragging on everybody, but so this group has been in the open class for a few years now. The open class is the top class in the state of Arizona. There are currently 3 groups in the top class, that open class. This year it was very, very competitive, to the point where all 3 of the groups, including Higley High School, that should be noted, would have been contenders to make finals at the national level. Their scores were that high. So super proud. Started off the year strong. The other groups came to play. They started coming back and beat us out a couple times, but these guys kept scratching and clawing and fighting all the way through the season and just delivered the goods in their final performance. Super proud of what they were able to achieve. Congratulations to the Williamsfield Color Guard. While they're taking this picture, I think it's important for us to recognize the support we get from our district and the depth and the breadth of the programs. At the elementary level, Bridges, Power Ranch, and Coronado all received the highest rating of superior for their trash can bands. In the color guard side of things, HTA, Gateway Point, and Chaparral all received superior ratings, the top ratings that you can get for their color guards. Sossaman Middle School had a phenomenal drum line and a very strong guard program as well. So those things need to be noted. The depth and breadth of the program within the Higley Unified School District is significant, and we're very proud of it, and grateful to our district for the support. Also, sorry, I left one group out of there. Our WINS group, which is a relatively new activity, we use it as a feeder program on our middle school and high school side, so it's combined middle school and high school students to help them understand the marching activities, so when they come into high school, marching band isn't as intimidating. They understand I march from here to there and I play my instrument and I'm okay. And we treat it as a feeder development group, whereas other programs treat it as a strictly competitive group, meaning it's all high school and it's the best kids, and they came in second by just a couple points, so super proud of them as well.
Mr. Edgar, we're sure proud of you and your team here. You are more than welcome to stay, but we also say you can leave at this time if you would like to. Thank you for coming tonight.
We have one more celebration tonight. Next week is a very important Hallmark holiday, if you all don't know, but it is Administrative Assistant Day, and we have one of the best in all the land. So Darlene, please come up. Even if there wasn't a holiday for you, I would make one for you, because you are so good to us, and we are forever grateful for all you do for us.
President Kaler, members of the board, not much gets by Darlene Reach, so that was kind of nice. Thank you. The upcoming events, as you can see, although we haven't hit the 90 days of May yet, it's starting to ramp up, and this is a time of year where literally there is someplace we could be each and every night, and with competing events, obviously sometimes it's hard. Here are just a highlight of the few fun things that we have coming up. Obviously, we're going to be celebrating Teacher of the Year reception, a lovely reception for our Teachers of the Year. We have so many teachers to celebrate, and we're looking forward to that. We have a beautiful fine arts festival coming. We have a superintendent's visit to Higley Traditional Academy. We also have governing board meetings, retirement receptions, and graduations on the horizon, along with lots of other awards, end of the year celebrations. Too many to list here, but just a few highlights of the coming events in the next few weeks.
Thank you, Dr. Foley. Yes, 90 Days of May has begun. It began for us last night. Several of us attended the Underclassmen Awards at Higley High. It was fantastic. There was one particular student with a 5.0, which was absolutely astounding. So we celebrate all those kiddos, and it's nice to see the fruition of some of the decisions we make up here into the children that we don't get to see quite often. So it was a fun night, and I appreciate Higley for hosting it.
I also got to attend the Williamsfield dance presentation. I believe it was last week. I could be wrong. And they did a fabulous job picking music, and all their dances were outstanding. And that dance crew will be well missed at Williamsfield that is getting ready to leave. I know a lot of seniors are getting ready to leave us, but they did a fantastic job. And I echo Mrs. President Kaler's statements with the Underclassmen Awards. It was absolutely fantastic last night. I text Dr. Foley and just let her know it was really a remarkable event to see all those kiddos, freshmen, sophomores, and juniors go through. So thank you.
Mrs. Wilson, it was last week, and I also attended the dance concert, and it was amazing. It was amazing. I think that all those kids need to stay that are graduating another year because they were so, so good. I even cried at several points because it was just so amazing. I wanted to go the second night, too. It was the best by far that I've seen, and I told Mrs. Lewis that it's the best I've seen her do, so it was a great, great production.
Mrs. Kaler, also in reference to last night's undergrad, as you said, we get to see some of the decisions we make up here, and we celebrated, like they said, some pretty amazing kids, but to hear these kids that have proficiently and done multiple languages while they've been, whether it's through our middle school into our high school or just our high school. We had one who they're doing their third language and they're only a junior. So it's amazing to see these opportunities that they have, and it just warms my heart to see that these students taking advantage of them, and one's planning to go on to be a translator. And so it was just really exciting, and they still have another year of high school. So to see the opportunities that we do have to offer our students and the success that they have with it was pretty amazing. So it was a very enjoyable evening.
Yes, the end of the year is full of excellence. Okay, next up, request to speak. I'm going to read a little paragraph. We value input from our constituents. This time has been aside for anyone from the audience who wishes to address the board. Please remember this is not an appropriate venue to evaluate, discuss, or criticize district personnel. Policy KEB provides a process for complaints about personnel. Speakers should be aware that false statements about individuals may result in civil liability. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431.01H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. Please limit your remarks to just 3 minutes. And I have one speaker, Leslie Landeryu. Did I say that correctly? Thank you. Yes.
All right. Thank you, governing board members, Amy Kaler, Michelle Anderson, Christina Reese, Jill Wilson, and Tiffany Schultz for setting apart this block of time to allow anyone from your audience to address you. I respectfully will keep my words to less than 3 minutes. My name is Leslie Landry, and I'm here with my husband, Rob, as a representative of the Williamsfield Boys Basketball Booster Club, of which I was elected to the position of president this year, which was also formally held by my husband in 2019-2020. Of high priority that we as a married couple have ascribed since 1994 is the importance of teamwork. That concept has naturally been pulled over into our parenting, allowing all 5 of our children to thrive in their academics first and foremost. We are celebrating our youngest induction to NHS tonight, making that honor a perfect quintuple for the Landry family. So we are incredibly grateful to all the schools and amazing teachers that have played crucial, positive roles in our children's success stories. Teamwork is a concept that also leads to success in our students' extracurriculars and on a much bigger scale, the achievements of our school districts to excel and dominate. Teamwork, by definition, means that people will cooperate using their individual skills and providing constructive feedback despite any personal conflicts between individuals. It's selfless, focuses on the end goal, and runs on the concept that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Here's where my request becomes specific. As per your agenda's request to speak section, I would like to action to be taken to direct staff with administrative power in the spirit of teamwork to proactively contact Rob and myself for an interactive, transparent discussion regarding matters that 3 of them have respectfully been made aware of since February 28th. The follow-up after 3 on-site in-person admin meetings and 1 assistant superintendent meeting since the aforementioned date has been regrettably non-existent on their part. Many issues have been brought to their attention by us that they would not have been aware of without us. Consequently, my husband and I feel unfortunately disregarded and not important team members, as we've spent countless hours on properly preparing details for their review. Time is a precious commodity to all, including us. Our personal time has suffered through this process, just as their employee considerations of time has been. We ask for your assistance in upholding goal three from Higley's strategic plan in regards to communication and community relations to engage all stakeholders through transparent, respectful, and consistent communication. Thank you once again, governing board members, as well as Superintendent Dr. Don Foley, Associate Superintendent Ms. Sherry Richards, Executive Director Ms. Martins, Ms. Darlene Reach, and Mr. Chris Treat. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Follow up with them. Thank you so much, Dr. Foley, for following up with them. Appreciate you coming in. Can somebody hit the lights in the back by chance, please? Feels funny. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know the kids were all against the walls and the light switches, so thank you. All right, we are going to move on to 6.0 consent agenda items. I move that we approve consent agenda items 6.1 through 6.15.
Second.
Comments, questions, or concerns? Yes, Mrs. Schultz.
No, I'm sorry.
I do want to note that there was some acceptance of gifts and donations. Can you pull that up for me? Thank you so much. And these were big amounts that were donated for several different schools, and these were in our status of who helped do these donations and these fundraisers through our boosters, our PTOs, Intel. Just thankful for all those that do donate to our campuses because they fill in a lot of the gaps, and we're very, very grateful. So I want to point that out. With that said, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
President Kaler, members of the board, cabinet, and community, I'm excited to share with you 2 new members to our administrative team. First, I would like to introduce Ms. Heidi Lindsay. She is your new Executive Director of Elementary Education. Also with us this evening is Mr. Marcus Berkshire. He is your new Director of Assessment and Student Information, and I believe he has his wife, Dawn, with him.
Thank you so much, and welcome to the Higley family. We look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Is this a welcome back for Mr. Berkshire? Yay, good to see you again.
We're excited to have him back, and also excited to have Heidi.
Thank you so much for pointing this out to us tonight. Okay, we are going to move on to, there's some information items. And again, these are just informational items. Our educational day, our third quarter special education day school report, our human resources quarterly ESI report. So if there's any questions or comments on those, if not. No, on those reports. Okay, so we're going to move on to 7.3. And
President Kaler, can we just take a minute and thank you guys for putting those together to keep us updated and so that we know where we're at budget-wise. Money's been set aside for this, and so that way we know throughout the school year where we're at. So thank you for putting that together, and even though we don't have any questions, we've had the opportunity to review it.
Yes, thank you. All right, we're going to go on to our science adoption process.
President Kaler, members of the board, we have had honestly an amazing year working through this process. And we're excited to bring you that information and recommendations this evening. I want to start out by acknowledging our steering committee and a couple of people aren't here this evening because they're at school events with family members. But David Lotzenheiser, the Executive Director of Secondary and Athletics. Dr. Chris Treat can wave over there. He's our Assistant Director of Professional Development. Mr. Jim Pasek, the Director of Informational Technology. Wendy Garrettson is here. She is our Purchasing Manager. And we also have Kim Morton. She is our amazing K-12 Science Instructional Coach. And as you can imagine, she has poured her heart into this project. So we've got a little presentation here, and I would be amiss if I didn't acknowledge the 31 teachers that work so hard to make all of this come to this point. So I'm going to turn it over now.
Thank you. President Kaler, members of the board, I want to talk to you a little bit about the needs and goals that we saw that drove us to kind of do the work that we did to involve those 31 teachers and all the folks that Ms. Richards just go ahead and introduce you to. So one of the things that kind of drove this work was those new Arizona science standards that we got in 2018. So at that point, it was very important for us to start looking as a district to make sure that we could say that we're not just in alignment with our teaching, but that our instructional materials support the teaching so that we can give our folks the tools that they need to bring those standards to life. Because these standards, probably more than any other, have kind of represented a radical departure from maybe the way that science was taught when we were in school. This is more about the doing of science. It's more about a hands-on approach. It's the student in the role of being the scientist and not merely a passive learner in that process. With that in mind, we knew that it was time to also update our materials to make sure that our teachers had the tools that they need to meet that new challenge, because that's a big jump from being more vocabulary-driven exclusively to now diving in and actually doing science as opposed to merely hearing about it. And with that in mind, we had several goals that we kept kind of foremost in our process here. Obviously, those aligned materials, that was the first. It was very important for our teacher experts and Kim Morton to be able to see, hey, are these materials that are being presented to us aligned to those state standards to which we want to adhere? We also wanted to make sure that we gave our teachers a lot of opportunities to be involved and provide feedback, not just one time, but many times, and I'll detail that a little bit further, so that they could take long, extended looks at the materials that were offered up by the various vendors that went ahead and answered our RFP. We also wanted to make sure that they had chances to give not just quantitative feedback where they threw down a score and we had an average and that was it, but rather tell us what you liked about it. We wanted teachers to be able to interact with the materials both on their own and then later with those vendors where they could put the features to the test. And lastly, we wanted to kind of look at digital platforms. I mean, as we move to this one-to-one environment, it only makes sense for us to go ahead and leverage the power of the materials and tools that we have here to make sure that our students are able to interact in a 21st century way with these materials. And so with those goals in mind, we took on this task. And here, I want you to see the timeline that we kind of followed. This isn't something we started yesterday, of course. This has been going on all year long. As you see, we kicked off our initial planning back in August. We went ahead and put together this timeline of action that we were going to take. And this information was always shared with the public along the way. We've maintained a website that not only had the timeline of information, but relevant announcements, decisions from one phase to another, and where appropriate, inviting the public to come in and participate and view the products as well as hear vendors. You can see that in January, that's when we had those vendors finally kind of submit their proposals to us, and our steering committee, the people that Ms. Richards just introduced, those folks had a chance to evaluate whether or not that those vendors did adhere to the RFP, and that's kind of how we kind of went through that phase one. And Wendy Gerritsen will give us some more information here in a moment. And then on into phase 2 and phase 3, and we're just kind of wrapping up that 60-day review with our chosen finalists. And so you can see where we are in this process to this moment right here at this April 20th board meeting, where we're introducing our process to you and kind of the approach that we took. And hopefully, we'll be purchasing some new materials in the next month or so that we can start getting those inventoried and getting teachers trained and able to put those things into action next year. See if I can advance it. There we go. I'd like to turn it over now to Wendy Gerritsen.
Before we go on real quick, Dr. Treat, can you tell us when we adopted the science curriculum we're currently using?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know if I have the answer to that. Kim, can you help me with that? When were the materials that we're currently using adopted?
I am not sure.
Okay.
Sorry, it just popped into my head. Normally, I would have asked that earlier so you guys could be prepared. I don't like.
Yeah, it's quite all right. It definitely predates these standards that we have. So we know with that, we were already using materials that were kind of out of alignment with the type of instruction. We know those were adopted in 18.
So it's well over a decade ago, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
President
I was going to say, since I've been on the board, we have not adopted a science curriculum or anything. So I just didn't, so that predates me. So
me too.
there's our decade. And so I just didn't know if you were aware. So we know it's at least 10 years. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
With the adoption process, on my side of it with the procurement rules and the adoption RFP process components. RFP means request for proposal. There are many acronyms in my line of work, so you kind of get used to doing this. So to start off, we start off with the curriculum. As one of the rules is ARS 15-721 and 722, the curriculum rules and education principles tell us what the legislature sets for the district to follow. And adding on to that, with the procurement rules and requirements are adopted by the School Board of Education, and that dictates the process for both the adoption and the procurement. So with that, we have our rules and we have our thresholds on which the district must follow through all these step-by-step phases in which we continue to do with this. Our curriculum costs. So in the evaluation criteria, all interested offers understand that their proposal will be evaluated in accordance with the criteria outlined in the RFP, and that is all done specific. So they have to go through the curriculum checklist in which the scope of work was given by Dr. Treat, and then obviously down to cost in which we have to look at. And phase 1 is your non-responsive and your unacceptable. Your non-responsive, meaning they just didn't follow the guidelines in which the scope of work requested. And in the unacceptable, it does not meet the basic criteria curriculum in which the district, what we uphold and what we require. I think, isn't that? Oh, here we are. And the technical advisor's curriculum feedback. This was a great phase 2. I really, really enjoyed this. The teachers were incredible. I think they had a lot of fun with it as well, with the teacher individual analysis of the viable curricula. And then phase 3 is the top 5 vendors in which we gathered all together, came and presented their curriculum to us, and then that's when the teachers got to come and ask them certain questions and kind of that touchy feel that we all need to do sometimes to see what it's like. So that was a great presentation, and I really look forward to getting this wrapped up, as we have been working on this for quite some time. And this was a big task for me to take on the first 2 months of me being on the job, but that's okay. So I look forward to moving forward with this and see where we go. Thank you
Welcome to
very much.
Higley. Was it that the teachers had 5 presentations to them? It was the 5 that kind of passed the RFP?
Yes, in taking
first phase, and then-
in evaluations,
Okay.
and then the committee doing their evaluation as well, because we take theirs into consideration. We chose the best top 5. Yes.
Yes, President Kaler, the way it worked was from that initial kind of call for proposals with that RFP, the steering committee, they did the work to make sure, as Wendy said, to see that the proposals were appropriate. But we left the science expertise to the teachers. And so once we determined which ones were appropriate, those were the vendors that advanced to phase 2. And you can see here on this slide kind of some of the work that happened with that. In phase 2, we really used the power of our Canvas course to build kind of a 4-part area for our teachers who are going to be giving heavy feedback. We wanted them to first be oriented to the task. So in the Canvas course, we gave them a chance to be able to see exactly what it is that they were going to be doing. We wanted them to have an opportunity to be trained in how we wanted them to use the rubrics and the tools to be able to evaluate the materials. We wanted to supply them with those actual materials so that they could go ahead and look at the various proposals and look at the various offerings from the vendors and be able to score them, and then to be able to score them actually within Canvas. So it became kind of one-stop shopping for the teachers. And so this contrasts with the way that maybe this has been done in other times and places, where you put all the teachers in the room at once and maybe give them a very limited amount of time to interact with the materials. Instead, by using Canvas, we were able to give our teachers 4 weeks for them to interact digitally with the submissions from the vendors, and to be able to really kind of on their own time decide, at their own pace, how much they really wanted to dive in and look at a particular product and not feel rushed, and also not feel that table bias that can sometimes happen when there are 5 of us sitting around a table. And maybe one person really likes the product, but then someone else says they don't. Then they start questioning their own judgment. This way, they were able to, on their own, do their own investigation, evaluation, and put those scores in. But it wasn't just done in isolation and digitally. We also maintained the physical materials that the vendors had sent in phase 2 in 2 rooms and labeled them appropriately here in the district office. So during that month, any of our HUSD teachers, whether they were a part of that group or not, could come in and examine those materials, and many folks did, and they were able to kind of provide feedback. So if you were a type of a person who didn't want to just look at the digital offering, you could come in and actually look at the physical materials too and handle it and provide feedback that way. And what we found is that teachers were able to have greater participation. It wasn't always at the expense of someone's personal schedule, but they were able to say yes when we wanted them to be able to participate in this committee. And I would hate for somebody who's willing and has expertise be shut out of the process simply because they have other obligations in their life and other professional obligations too. This way they could still have their voice in the process, which is why we had such a large number of teachers that were able to be a part of it. And so then in phase 2, at the end of that 4 weeks, they entered in their scores, and we were able to go ahead and look at not just those quantitative scores, but the feedback that they also provided to us, and determine by grade band and by course what the 2 finalists were for each of those. So that teacher feedback was very important in determining, okay, from these viable offerings, these are the products that need to advance to that phase 3. And it was in phase 3 then that we had our 2 finalists, not in total, but 2 finalists by grade band, by course. So each group is being able to look specifically at what's meeting their needs. And that's when we began that 60-day review where it's available to the public. And we had announced that on our website, and they're still maintained here in the district office. We also had, during that time period, that time that Wendy had mentioned when vendors came and did presentations. So all those teachers who participated in that phase 2 kind of Canvas-based digital evaluation were then invited in here to the district office, again by course and by level, when the vendors came and made their pitch and demonstrated what the capabilities were. This was particularly important because of the digital importance that we had put on there. They needed to see, so how does this interact with Canvas? How does the gradebook really work? How do I really assign something? How do I really edit or adapt materials? And Kim Morton and I were able to sit in on many of those meetings, and I want to say right now how proud we were of how assertive the teachers were in taking the opportunity in that moment to interact with the vendors and not sit back passively, but to put them to the task and ask them tough questions and ask them to demonstrate the very features that help determine whether or not they should choose one or the other. At the end of that time period, those teachers were able to fill out evaluations again based on, okay, of these finalists and what you saw, what is it that still kind of resonates with you? And it was very interesting to see how their scores kind of then drilled down to clear-cut leaders and so on, and what their aspects were that they really appreciated about one or the other as they left qualitative feedback. All the time during the period when these materials have been on display, we've also had a QR code in the room where the materials have been displayed for any of our members of our community or teachers to come in and examine the finalists by level and use that QR code to be able to give instant feedback on any of the materials and any commentary that they wanted to have. So this is what kind of leads us to this final recommendation. And I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Kim Morton here to talk to you a little bit about the photos that you're seeing.
To reiterate something that Dr. Treat said, one of our goals from the very beginning was to give as many teachers the opportunity to participate. I'm loud enough. To give as many teachers as possible the opportunity to participate in the committee. And even if they were not able to participate, we encouraged their feedback through the entire process. Starting on January 18th, when phase 2 began, we set up 2 rooms in the ed services, and one was for elementary and one was for secondary. We put in all of the vendor materials that made it into phase 2. And although the committee members were evaluating electronically, we encouraged them to come in and look at the physical materials as well. Not only the committee members, but we did offer all the science teachers in the district, if they wanted to come in and look at those materials, they were able to do so. And we definitely encourage feedback from all that did come in. On February 18th, we started our 60-day display. And so we took the finalists and we condensed the rooms into one room. And we supplied a QR code because it was now open to the public as well. And so that way, again, we wanted as much feedback as we possibly could get. And so the community that was able to come in was able to supply feedback as well as any teachers throughout the process.
Regarding the public viewing, I'm just going to kind of list off my questions, and whoever wants to answer that'd be great. First one, how was the public informed of the 60-day viewing? I mean, the QR codes were posted, but how was it announced? Was it email? Was it letters sent home? How did they know to attend if they wanted to?
President Kaler, Vice President Anderson, we maintained a website with announcements, and on the front page of that website, we updated and announced out to everyone as each kind of stage went along, so that not only did we have the timeline, which kind of gave the overall picture of what we were shooting for, but as each event came along, we would go ahead and kind of make that aware or make it signify it on that kind of top page of our website.
So they need to be a little more proactive to know about it than.
The viewing is also still going on. So
It
again,
is.
so the thing of it is it's not done yet. This is also a public conversation where this information is being shared. This has been an open process this entire time. Been following actually exceeding the expectation of a procurement rule around any and all of this. So obviously, if there's anybody who has questions, concerns, would like to see these recommendations, they are more than welcome to come, see, look, scan, because again, this is all coming back. This is an information item to you tonight. These are the top recommendations that have gone through the scrutiny of the multiple phases.
Perfect. And that leads to my next questions. So far, how many would you say have come and attended? I know online, I don't know if you can track how many, but, and then for those that have attended, so how many, the feedback responses, who is reading them and how is it being taken? I know you're going through the phases, and how is it being taken into account for the decisions being made?
Yes, at various phases, we've had different groups that have been a part of that. So in that phase 2, when there were many vendors' materials still under consideration, those were teachers in the district that came in, and they would be able to give their feedback through Kim. So everything funneled through Kim Morton. So she would be able to have an expert that would be able to kind of take all that in and became our point of contact. And as far as at this point with the 60-day, we haven't had any traffic yet. So hopefully we'll get some folks that'll come in, but those materials are there, and we're ready to hear what they have to say.
Is there any way we could send this out, like maybe in our weekly email? Because I know as a parent, a lot of times I don't check the website as often as I maybe should. And so maybe we could send it out on that Friday email out through and just let people know. Since it sounds like no one's come in anyway, it might be a good time to maybe proactively tell our parents, hey, by the way, we're looking at adopting a science curriculum, and it's on display at the district office.
President Kaler, Board Member Wilson, what we would probably do is have that come from the sites. We find that those things are read more closely from the sites. What we would inform is that we've been following this process. This has been a long part. We're completing the end of this. We've just done an update. We can work on a little blurb that will come from the sites rather than a blast from the district, because we typically wouldn't.
Of course, I was talking the Friday email from the sites that go out to every Friday. I get an email from all the different schools.
Update to what we could
it just
do,
might be nice to put it in there.
We could put a link also
That
to
would
the
be
website.
fantastic. I
to
think
the
a link would
website
be
of where we're
almost
at.
even better than even coming in, but I think that having that offered to the parents so they can see would be beneficial for everyone to see, hey, we're doing a science curriculum update, and here's, options for you to view it. Thank you.
I had the same questions as Ms. Wilson and Ms. Anderson, but one question, you just said no other teachers have come to look at it? I know you mentioned the public, but we're open to teachers and no one else. I just wasn't sure if I heard you correctly.
President Kaler, Board Member Schultz, since that point, we haven't had any other teachers, but we had such a large participating body in the process that most of the folks who have a vested interest have kind of been with us from the start, and they were in that phase 2 and phase 3. We didn't turn away any teachers that wanted to participate in this process and asked for a great deal of participation all the way through. So I think that at least to date, anyone that had a real desire to see things was probably in on it from the beginning, but they are all still more than welcome, and we would love to hear what they have to say.
And you had mentioned in the beginning 31 teachers, correct? In the beginning, was that a variety of teachers as far as across all the grades? I'm not sure if I missed that.
President Kaler, Board Member Schultz, when you have a second here, they're going to progress a few more slides, and they'll show you the different areas. And so you've had representation from each area. You'll also hear about how much there was great consensus through this process, and only one dissenting one in which a new resource came along, and that's the only one we're not adopting, and they're going to go out for it next year because we'll follow procurement on it. So what you're going to hear in just a minute is kind of the amount, and you'll see the list here, and how much, again, consensus there was around this process, because truly anybody who wanted to be involved in this process could have been involved in this process. And we made it very, very easy, because keep in mind, if you'll remember, those of you who were on the board in the end of 2019, we tightened up our process for textbook adoptions. We actually started this process in the middle of COVID, and a whole lot of new resources came out, and we wanted to, and some new things came out that our team wanted, so we started the process all over again at the end of this year. So we have been science touching for the last 2 years. So this was almost a restart. You read in your status report, we literally restarted this. So there is some tiredness of science touching with our teachers having lived in this in 2 years, because this is an extremely time-intensive process when you go through all of this. The Canvas course was one of the ways, particularly in January when we had a lot of people out and our COVID cases were rising, that we were hoping to make sure we kept as many people participating as possible. So ultimately, we feel really good when we science touched this at the end of 2019 and into this year, 2022, the amount of people we've had involved. So from us, we're going, whoa, we've had great involvement. So
Thank you. That answered my other question about the consensus, so I appreciate it.
Throughout the process, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to, before we stop the topic, can you tell me the date at which the public viewing will stop? When is it over? Do we have a set date? Because it has, started February 18th as a 60-day public. I mean, it should be ending soon according to this, but I didn't know if it's going to end of May-ish.
90 days. Is it 90?
That's what, it says 60, it's a 60-day public viewing, so it should be ending soon.
April begins. Spring break.
I'm just going by, okay.
Honestly, I think we had intended to leave it until we bring this back in May.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we have a spot for it. It's all set up, and we'd love for people to come in and touch it, and you guys too.
Okay.
You're invited.
Yeah. Thank you. I already clicked on the link and signed up for the free whatever, but it's a little extra work, but we'll figure it out. Thank you for making this possible for the public and for all your hard work, and to the teachers. I know you have more to say, but it sounds like you've done quite a lot to make sure that everybody has input in the viewing of it. I appreciate it.
So Vice President Anderson, I think, just to add on to what they're saying, I think it worked to our benefit to have this extended time period because new publishers came out with resources that were better aligned to these new standards. So sometimes things work out for the best, and I think we've learned a lot through this process. And should we go through this again? Canvas was like the gym, honestly. So, and these guys worked really hard to make it work efficiently. So the teachers, I think, appreciated the flexibility with the schedules so very much.
I wanted to share this slide with you because throughout the phase 2 and the phase 3 process, we used several tools and evaluation techniques so the teachers could give us evaluations on the products, but we also gave them an opportunity to give us feedback on the process. This was just so amazing. What I did is I made a word cloud, and the words that are larger, those are the ones that we kept seeing over and over. Our teachers, they said that they were good choices. They said the process was easy and it was simplified. I love that they said how happy they were throughout the process. It was exciting. The thing up there, unanimous, was interesting because we had 14 different grade bands or courses that we're evaluating, and almost every single one of them was unanimous in their decision. It was an amazing experience, and I can't tell you how many thank yous I got, whether it was in person or on one of the evaluation tools or during the phase 2 and the phase 3 sessions. And you'll see some other comments up there that I put them up there because I thought it was very powerful that they thought that the process was so easy and convenient. I know that a lot of our teachers were a little apprehensive when they went into it. They thought it was going to be this very big, time-consuming, how am I going to have enough time for my family and textbook adoption? And for them to say it was so easy and convenient, I think that was just pretty amazing. I heard that they were excited about the materials, that they thought that all the choices were great choices, and they're really excited, and they're looking forward to having materials that will support their curriculum and our new standards. But the one that really stuck out to me, and this was from a high school teacher, it was during the Phase 3 publishers when they came in, and he said, usually this time of year, I am just waiting for summer. He says he's done, and he doesn't want to think about next school year. And this teacher said he's so excited to return next year and get started on these new materials because he's just so happy to have something that will really support him in his classroom. Some additional feedback, that they love the flexibility of the course. It made it easy. Again, they're excited for next year, which I think is pretty great, especially, as a teacher. I know how April is, and you're like, okay. But they're excited for next year. They're ready to come back and use these materials. They thought that they were great options, and they can't wait to see where we go next. And they're very excited to get the products when we do have them. The results, you'll see up there, those are our results. And one thing that I wanted to point out, you'll notice that we did not adopt a blanket publisher where the entire district has the same publisher. The reason for that is before, when we said that we really wanted to give teachers a voice, we really did. We wanted them to find the product that they felt would suit their needs the best. And that's the way we went into it. And we told them we're not looking for one publisher. We're looking at what will help you and what will be the best materials for your course. And so these are the top results. I think in the RFP process, we had about approximately 14 to 16 vendors come in, and then we narrowed it down, and this is where we are right now.
President Kaler, members of the board, what's really important to note is every single one of those are, because they had to in phase one, they're comprehensive curriculum that is aligned to the new standards that are far superior than anything we currently have in our warehouse or in those classrooms right now for the standards, because we have a lot of stuff, but these are now aligned to the new standards and are comprehensive, and in some cases will provide our teachers maybe more updated resources than they've had at their fingertips in a very long time.
And the conceptual physics is on hold.
Yep, go ahead.
Until next year, right?
And we'll explain why.
Yeah, President Kaler, it's what happened was the committee of teachers who teach that course, they didn't really see the book that they wanted. None of the books that made it to that point really truly addressed their needs. And one of the publishers had, in kind of the beginning of this, had hinted at a book that was something that maybe they would rather have. And so in order to go ahead and be faithful and true to the process, it was more important that we would go ahead and kind of restart with that group and take it back to the beginning and move forward so that we could honor the process, obey the law, and also make sure that the teachers got the book that they really wanted. And so they kind of went into that with their eyes open, knowing it might mean a bit of a delay, but it's not saying no and it's not saying never, but it's making sure that they have the product that will work best for them.
President Kaler, members of the board, my passion and joy and love in teaching is curriculum. And I will tell you, having had over a decade's experience of being a curriculum director in some way, in some fashion, publishers are sneaky individuals. They're wonderful, they're lovely, but when they do have an opportunity to come in front of teachers, they will come with, here's what we saw, but guess what's coming? And again, it's nice that they shared what's coming, and that might be the next best thing, but if it wasn't part of our entire process, That's a violation of procurement, and we can't do that following the procurement laws. So what we say is, if you don't love it and you don't want it, that's just fine. We'll go back and follow our process and include those resources in it. So hence, we're not going to stop the whole group from moving forward. We will adopt the ones where there is consensus on, or those who have been deeply invested in this whole process going, yep, this is what we want, move it ahead. Again, this is going to go out to all of our again, we will add, all of our teachers are going to see this again in a summary of this presentation. Anyone who wants to learn more, know more, to come see, they can. We will encourage we will have our sites add the link to the website about the districts doing this, come see it. Conceptual Physics will go out again next year, so we follow procurement. And again, we're pretty excited about the fact that for the most part, this was the most harmonious curriculum adoption I've seen done in a very long time, particularly for us with science, because prior to this year, the end of the year, the previous one, they weren't so excited, happy, or thrilled. So this was a positive experience and a real highlight for how we followed the procurement laws, we followed our processes, and ended up allowing for more people to be involved. Anyone who wanted to be, can be. Anyone who still wants to come see, can.
Thank you for doing this. I think it was a long process, it sounds like. I'm excited to not just see one name, actually, because I have heard in the past some feedback on that. So I'm excited to see all the different names here of what we're doing. I'm excited to see that Conceptual Physics will be getting what they desire or they want or need, all those words that they probably need, and not just settling. To me, that's a big deal, but we're not just settling and giving them, we'll just do this for now. I want to thank you and your committee. Please pass that along to anyone who couldn't be here tonight with us, but thank you so much.
I'm sure the excitement was pretty big in the room. I've had the pleasure of teaching at Cooley Middle School back in 2016, and I've seen those books and the content, and I can tell you teachers pay teachers is going to take a little hit after getting some better content in the classrooms here. And I'm sure it was an easy task because the standards for science aren't super clear on what to teach. They're very broad, and it's felt in different subjects. So I'm glad that they have landed on vendors, if you will, people or businesses that they felt comfortable with. I can't imagine how difficult that was to make sure that it was going to really fit into that big bubble of what they need to cover. And it is interesting, thank you for pointing out the different vendors, that Savas, is that how you pronounce it? It's in your middle schools, and it seems to carry over into your high schools, and then it kind of branches out to the McGraw-Hill for the specialties, anatomy, and all those. So I imagine that's going to be good to have familiarity with the middle schools, and then as they transition to high schools. That's really neat to see. Thank you guys for your hard work. That's awesome.
President Kaler, Board Member Anderson, you're absolutely correct. Our Arizona standards are unique. They are unique. And so publishers weren't written for Arizona standards. They were written for more of a national standard. So picking the right resource that aligned best, that had the resources, is why we wanted to involve, and why you can't just pick one publisher and stick with it, because there are strengths and weaknesses in all of them. The good news is that there is alignment and there are greater resources than there have been. And that way, this is a win-win for us.
We talked about how no one can remember the last time this was adopted 10 years ago. How often should it happen? And is there a process moving forward that we're going to revisit this every 5 years? What does that look like?
President Kaler, Board Member Schultz, excellent question. One of the things that typically happens is that you have a rotation schedule. You've heard about Tyler talk about a funding schedule. And sometimes what happens is what prompts buying new resources is usually the change in standards. And the change in standards is actually a multi-year process. Then resources come out and then they're adopted. Once you adopt a core material, usually it's anywhere between 3 to 5 years that you purchase that. Now you can renew that. You may not go out for a new adoption if it's working and it's fitting and it's adopted and the standards haven't changed. What you'll do is renew subscriptions. quite honestly, as curriculum has evolved, hence one of the reasons why one-to-one, having devices is so important, is that curriculum has become more individualized to meet the needs of the learner, which comes with a digital component. So sometimes it's textbooks, sometimes it's licenses that allow us to customize it. So, which is a challenge for adoption, and you really have to track it, because once upon a time you could use the old textbooks, but after a certain point you keep track of it because licenses expire and they disappear. So if your curriculum was reliant upon entirely, so what you do is you budget carefully and you have a schedule, which we maintain in Ed Services. Following this meeting, we have a work study where we'll be talking about our standards curriculum instruction. We'll talk about some of the definitions. We're going to also talk about the procurement rules that bind us, if you will. But Ed Services maintains that. So what you've heard us say, social studies would be our next content area that we currently would adopt, because those have had new standards and we haven't purchased new resources. Math and ELA had an adoption. They purchased resources. We will not be going out for a new adoption. What we would do is renew subscriptions to those adoptions that were working, but we would do it in a budgetary time. So we maintain a calendar, and it's individualized based on content and where we are with purchasing of licenses for when we bought the adoption. So it is a well-maintained process in the Ed Services Department that has been tightened up significantly in Higley in the last 2 years, and we will happily expand upon this in our work study tonight.
Dr. Foley, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. And just, I don't know, is Arizona, or just for my own knowledge pretty much, Arizona standards being unique in a good or bad way?
Great question. So President Kaler, Board Member Schultz, great question. Actually, it's a good thing, because one of the things Arizona has prided itself in is always being unique. And one of the things over the last probably 10 years the Arizona Department of Education has done is a beautiful accordion model with its experts in our state to look at them, work with committees to refine them so that they are what's ideal for Arizona or best for Arizona. They rhyme with national standards, but they are some unique components because Arizona has chosen to add some unique pieces that have come from the field and from the community. But it is, in our case, a good thing. The challenge is that because Arizona does not fund education like other states do, textbook companies aren't quick to jump on creating entire textbook series for Arizona, because the likelihood of a district being able to afford it would not be worth their time. So large states that spend a lot of money, when Texas does a new adoption, textbook companies create new resources.
So here's your new unique standards that are great for students and teachers, but we're not going to give you any money. Sounds about right.
Yes.
No resources. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Just one quick question. Is there an extra fee to use the online resources? Alex?
President Kaler, Board Member Wilson, yes, it depends. And what happens is this idea of this best and final. So what happens is that there are sometimes subscriptions or purchases based upon these that depend upon, so everything is not the same. That what the cost per student is for 7th grade might look different than 3rd grade or 9th grade. But again, it's appropriate for the resource that we're buying. And one of the things you heard in that phase 1 was, in order for it to meet our threshold, it had to be comprehensive, had to have electronic components, had to meet the standards. Because going back to textbook companies being savvy, they'll throw anything they have in there. If you might like it, you might buy it, and it may not align. So
there is an extra fee for us. Each grade level, and I'm assuming each one of these little different boxes on the slide previous to this?
Depends on the resource. Sometimes it's included, sometimes it's additional, depends on the resource.
Okay.
But we work on the best and final, and in this case, we're buying the comprehensive component.
Thank you.
So, Board Member Wilson, that was really part of the whole process, that we made sure we understood digitally what they could get, and if that would include a book, how much it cost. And I'm going to compliment Ms. Gerritsen, because she is working really hard on this best and final offer. And I believe we're going to come in under budget, but that's not shortchanging what we wanted. And this is a 5-year adoption. And like Dr. Foley said, we can continue that and buy additional licenses or resources, but it was real important that we understood how we're going to use the one-to-one piece with every one of these. So.
Going to the point, though, hence the importance of that timeline and knowing what you have and what you're going to do, because from a budgeting standpoint, you wouldn't want to do a massive renewal and an adoption in the same year. Hence, we have a timeline, because otherwise it would be difficult to fund. Hence why we're tight and on top of that at this particular point.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, this process has definitely taken a tighter step when it comes to processes and procedures. I think one of the reasons why maybe we haven't heard from teachers and community members so much is that it's awesome and it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's reaching the right ears and the right people are getting their hands on it. I love that we open it up to the public and love the feedback, but at the end of the day, the loudest voices are our teachers. They're the ones that have to put their hands on it and teach it every day. And I think we've done a stellar job in including anybody that wanted to be part of that. And again, welcoming them today, tonight, this week. Come look at it. I know some of our math teachers like to see what's happening in science, so I would welcome our math teachers as well to come and take a peek. But again, it's been a very tight policy and procedures followed completely. Procurement, thank you so much. Just different than in the past, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that we're on this rotation. We are going to stay on top of our curriculum. We are budgeting. Mr. Moore, I know, is not here tonight, but he's working hard in that budget area to make sure that we are funded for the future. My only question is taking on a new curriculum, what is the timeline, and this may come next month to us, but the timeline of training the teachers in this curriculum? Just kind of give me a brief overshot view of how that looks for them.
Yeah, President Kaler, it's really different. Vendors offer different levels of professional development that comes with that. That was one of the things that we made clear in that scope of work, that within that first year, we wanted as much hands-on as possible. So part of it depends on when those materials actually arrive, but that'll be some of the work that I'll be doing, particularly with Kim Morton, as we start to build a schedule of specific implementation and follow-up professional development for these teachers, so that we didn't buy something because it had a feature that we then don't know how to use or that we're not comfortable with. And so it's going to be really important that we don't just accept the professional development from the vendor and we say, well, that's good enough, off you go. We'll certainly take that, but we're going to incorporate an ongoing kind of care process that's going to go along with that. It's just the timing is going to kind of depend when the materials come in and are available. But Kim and I have already talked about how that's really job one next year, is to make certain that we actually get all of the advantages that were identified by the teachers in these particular products.
Definitely, thank you for that. I know that I just waited 6 months for dishwasher parts, so I would really hope that curriculum is a little bit quicker than that. And it didn't fix it, so that's really disappointing. So again, thank you so much for all that you've done on this process. We very much appreciate you. A couple of us have lived through previous adoptions, and this is absolutely top-notch, has been done. Every I dotted, every T crossed, and we appreciate you all. Okay, we're going to move on. Next up, I think we have Mrs. Martins with a benefits update.
Good evening, President Kaler, Vice President Anderson, members of the board, my fellow colleagues, as well as our Higley community. I'm here to present a high-level benefit update part 2 from our March 9th meeting that we had. So as the request of the board, we're back here to talk about some of the ancillary products that we didn't have an opportunity to talk about because we didn't have all the full details at our March meeting. We had the primary details related to the healthcare products for medical, but not the ancillary and or sometimes called voluntary products. So as just a reminder, We have Kairos, who is starting with us effective July 1. They're a pooling entity that represents public entities. And for us, one of the biggest things in this process is the fact that it's the buying power that we have. And because we are going self-funded, we get to maintain our own independence within this process as we move forward. So as we talk about the ancillary products, the biggest areas in terms of that are dental and vision. So we have other items that are tangent to some of those components, and that's in terms of health equity for our HSA as well as our FSA, the health savings account, and the flex spending accounts. And then Metlife will be the carrier that we'll utilize for all those other items in terms of basic life, which is district paid, and that ranges depending on the employee group that you're incorporated in, whether it's via contract or policy. Supplemental life, AD&D, short-term disability, and other worksite benefits, and I'll talk more in detail about them as we get to that point in the PowerPoint. So outside of, I'm actually going to go back one. So outside of these ancillary products, other things that we offer real quickly is that there is going to be a change into our employee assistance program, and that's available to all benefit eligible employees, and that's going to move to ComPsych. So our current employee assistance program is by the Holman Group, so it's the same setup, 6 sessions when the employee calls. It can be for lots of various reasons, whether it's workplace stress, other financial components, and or death, or a limited time, an opportunity, maybe setting up wills or trusts or things of that nature. As we look at our first item in terms of Delta Dental, I'm just going to talk about the highlights. So this plan is almost identical to our current plan. I will say something that's a plus is that the rates are a little bit lower. And the biggest difference here really is the fact that there is going to be a $1,500 maximum of orthodontic services to our children or children of dependents of the plan that are 18 to 19. So that's one of the biggest areas. Outside of that, the reality is dental just isn't what it used to be in terms of insurance. Insurance in general has changed over the countless years, but dental particularly in terms of it's really a discount program and not a full insurance program in the bigger picture. But that will be our HMO. And then we'll have total dental administrators, which is the exact same plan that we have now for our dental HMO. Pardon me, our PPO was the Delta Dental. I think I might have misspoke. And this is our HMO in terms of total dental administrators. And the rates are comparable. And if I didn't note this earlier, what I do want to say, though, is the fact that our ancillary voluntary products outside of that basic life are all employee-paid plans. Unlike the healthcare medical plans through UHC and UMR, where the district does pay a portion of those. But we'll see some benefits as we go further along to where that buying power did matter in the bigger picture, where there are some savings. So the next item is our VSP. And we currently have VSP right now through Principal. However, the plan design is slightly different. So we will see an improvement in this plan. And with that, the rates are a little bit higher. But what's something that's nice for individuals that do have glasses, the frame allowance is going to be upped by $50, so that's a plus, as well as you can get frames every 12 months versus every 24 months, which is nice. I commented at one of our road shows that, well, I wear glasses, but I wear contacts during the day, but I unfortunately have to succumb to reading glasses. So, you get to go to Zenni or a lot of the other different plan products that you have, and it's nice because you can get those for fairly inexpensive these days too, which is a plus. A lot different than what it used to be where you had to go to your eye doctor or Pearl Vision or a couple standalone stores, where now that you can probably get them online just about anywhere. The other plus is that we're going to see an increase in the contacts allowance. For those that wear contacts, you're going to see an additional $20 benefit than what you had seen in the past. Metlife. So we are moving to Metlife for all of the items that I mentioned earlier. As I said, basic life is district paid, so I don't have that on here. But supplemental life with AD&D is listed on here. And really, in terms of supplemental life insurance, in this instance, the biggest outstanding items is that the guaranteed issue amount for employees is $150,000, which is nice. And if you don't know what guaranteed issued or GI means, is that you can get insurance for up to that amount without providing what they call an EOI, evidence of insurability, which for some of us who know when we want to increase our insurance, we have to fill out long surveys about your health, your history, and then they tell you whether or not they'll be willing to cover you or not. So that's a plus, that there's an increased amount of what employees can get if they want for themselves. In addition to that, they can get up to 5 times their annual salary, not to exceed $500,000. And then the spouse or partner benefit is actually an increase in terms of a GI of $30,000, as opposed to what it was before. In terms of the short-term disability, something that's great was initially Metlife came with a less benefited plan. We negotiated, worked with them with our Kairos vendor, and they were able to mirror our exact plan that we have currently with our short-term disability, which was a plus. You may or may not remember when I did this presentation last year, we had moved in terms of Sun Life to our current short-term disability with Principal and now to Metlife. And the reason for that is we were seeing a lot of issues with teachers, particularly those that had been on short-term disability related to pregnancies and the payout and some questioning in terms of the elimination period and dates. So it was great to see that Metlife worked with us and they're mirroring our plan to have those added benefits so our employees can continue with that this year, or going into next year, pardon me. Accident insurance, again, not different than what we have now, with the only exception of $50 wellness screening benefit each year. So if our employees do their wellness screening every year, they can get a $50 gift card to use for whatever they want. So that's just a nice little plus if they purchase into this. So, and this does carry in, injury. If a lot of people in regards to what they recognize when they hear accident insurance, usually is Aflac commercials. So this is very similar to that. Hospital indemnity. This is actually brand new. We have never offered this during my tenure here at the district. So if employees opt in for this product, they can then get benefits that include hospital admissions or ICU admissions, and you could see how much that benefit is per day and a maximum of the days that has. So that helps carry whatever insurance plan they opt to take. This can help supplement that, especially if there are an employee who knows there might be something that's coming up or other dynamics of their family history that would be beneficial to them. So the next item that we have is critical illness. This is something that we offer currently, and really the difference here is that unlike our current plan, employees can use this up to 3 times in a plan year if there were something to happen to them that falls within those categories of what's defined in those lists in relation to that. And I'm not going into the details of cost because obviously they differ based on your age, your spouse, all those dynamics. So it'd be very different for every single individual that we have. And then the last item is currently we offer 2 additional ancillary products that Kairos does not, and that's Guardian with cancer and Bankers with whole life insurance. So we will continue that on separate, continuing with those 2 vendors so our employees can continue because of the fact that we have a number of them that are in there, just over, I think, 120 in one and about 150 in the other. So I do have to acknowledge, I would be remiss not to, our benefits manager, Ms. Isabel Magado, as well as our benefits admin assistant, Ms. Valerie Enrique, have been working really hard. I think I know, a lot of us know, and the board members particularly, all of you, that this is human resources' busiest time of year as we're hiring, we're transitioning, we're posting positions. So implementing a whole new insurance system on top of it has been busy, but we've been doing a great job, and I have to give kudos to them because I've been pulled away for certain things, although I've been heavily involved in each part of it. Sometimes up to 7-hour meetings every week in this process because we want to make sure we have all of it correct. But they've really been doing the follow-up and meeting with our employees. And we've done already at this point, as I flip through, We've done roadshows, we've done webinars, we've got another webinar tomorrow. We sent out an email yesterday in regards to a link to a video as a recorded webinar. We'll be sending out another additional video to talk about what this process looks like when they go through this and register online and what that's going to look like. So the department has been crazy busy working with our employees. We've gotten some questions, we've had good attendance, we're answering questions, and then as more people view the videos or the webinars, hopefully more questions will come in, and then we'll be able to answer and help and assist those. But the one that I initiated last week for one of the road shows, we probably had about 30 participate, so I thought that was a really good number. And then yesterday and today, we probably had another 25 to 30 participate between the two. So after that, I'll entertain any questions.
Mrs. Martins, I just want to thank you. I know I asked for this to come back, and I just want to thank you. This is a lot of detail, and I really enjoyed making sure that we're doing right by our employees, and I know you've put a lot of effort into this, and your whole team has, so please thank them for me, because this is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Wilson. Insurance isn't always a fun topic, but important topic.
That's all I was going to say, is I really appreciate it. Most companies, the employees will get a little booklet, and be sent on their way to sign up. So you guys really went out of your way. And so I appreciate everybody that asked for it and did it and made it possible and helped them to understand. And benefits are huge, and mistakes can be made, and changing costs can be surprising, especially when you're going down during the workday. You may not be ready to hear all the information and process it. So having the online options and recordings and speaking it here, I appreciate you guys. And 420 was your road show, so did you do that all day, or did your team members?
So I was fortunate, President Kaler, Vice President Anderson, I was very fortunate that the team took that over. So there's been a lot that's been going on, just a variety of things throughout the district. And so I initiated them, I modeled it, and then they're such great individuals that they took it over and went from there. So it's important that they know that too.
Well done.
Yes, very well done, Mrs. Martins. And I know you're tired, and we just appreciate you so much. You have brought so much wisdom to our HR department, and having your benefit background was huge in this process. So yes, we are very grateful for you, and all we can do from every point of standpoint is encourage our employees to attend and watch the webinars, and obviously they can watch them later too. That's how I understand it. So find that time to watch them and educate themselves as well. You know, we're offering it, so we hope that they take us up on this fabulous offer. So,
absolutely. Thank you, President Kaler. Yes, the most important thing, and if we have individuals watching, is that because it's a true open enrollment, everybody has to participate, and if they do not participate, then they will not be eligible for insurance.
Yes.
So everybody must participate this year. In following years, it'll be open enrollment, but only necessary if you're going to change plans, drop, or add.
Right. The first year you have to pick everything that you want, and then after that you can either keep what you'd like or make the changes. So this June period of time is going to be huge, right? It starts.
Yes, open enrollment for us actually starts next week.
Oh, okay.
We want to make sure that we're able to hit all of our employees, because we have a number of 10-month employees, and certainly don't want to get too close to the end of May. As Dr. Foley's mentioned, it's the 90 days of May.
Right.
So sometimes it gets lost in everything else. So we thought which we did, we rushed to make sure to get everything ready and prepared. So we were able to do it starting next week into the first week of May.
Oh, excellent. Wonderful. So they'll have time.
Absolutely.
So no excuses. It's easy for us to say that, but.
President Kaler, members of the board, I'd like to stress again, one of the things that Mom and her team have done is in these decisions, every time we can err on the side of making it right for the employee, the most coverage, the least amount, the most time, whatever we can do, those have been in favor of the employee has been the decision that has been made. So that is something that I feel really good about the outcome of this entire process.
Definitely. Thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to some action items. For this 8.1, our capital outlay budget, We've gone over this several times now, Board, and we are doing our tentative approval tonight so that our summer projects will not be delayed. So if there's any questions that you may have, feel free, but I think we've all seen this multiple times now and are good with it. So I move that the governing board approve the tentative 2022-2023 capital outlay budget as outlined in the attachment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to this is always fun. We love to do this any chance we get. So this is for our classified employees' work agreements. I move that the governing board approves the issuance of classified employee work agreements for the 2022-2023 school year. And please note that their pay has been increased by 7%.
Second. Sorry.
We all want to second this and third it and fourth it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. And again, this is good for us and good for our staff and our district, and we are grateful.
Can I follow up?
Yes,
real
please, go
quickly?
ahead.
I did read over every name, like I did the certified staff for classified, and I just want to thank every employee who is going to sign their contract. Preemptively, thank you, because I know it's always a hard decision on where to go, and especially this one, a little more hard because I'm seeing the pay increase elsewhere, and we're trying our best, and I appreciate every one of you who decides to stay with Higley. Thank you.
Yes. All right, 8.3. This is our salary schedules and rate adjustments. I move that the governing board approves the adjustments of the salary schedules and base rates as presented in the attached Excel spreadsheet effective for the new fiscal year, July 1, 2022. Second. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Go ahead. No? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, moving on to 9.1. Is there anything that my board would like to see in a future presentation or work study?
President Kaler?
Yes.
I know we're going to be going over our strategic plan and update information. I was just wondering, when we do that, could we also, I don't want to make more work, I know you guys have a lot going on, but can we also hit on the areas that, the goals we previously had and that how they were completed? And a lot of that is also driven by Dr. Treat. This board has had a goal and vision of our professional development, and it took us a long time to find the right person as our professional development director and coordinator. And all the professional development you've done, and then the care that you're putting into this adoption for our staff to make sure they're supported. And so that's only one portion, but there's so much from that initial strategic plan and goals that we've talked about that even the previous board had a vision that you guys have made a reality. And so if we can, when you do your update, if we can just touch on, you guys wanted this, professional development was a priority, look at this is what we've done. You don't have to list it. We joked about it in our board retreat a little bit. Some of our status reports are the Dr. Chris Treat report, because he has done so much in a particular week on supporting our teachers and the professional development. And I think we went from no professional development to, like I said, the whole status report's full of it, and it's so appreciative. And I don't know, if any of our teachers don't feel supported, please come forward and talk to somebody, because everything that we're seeing, I just don't see how that's possible. So just when we do our update, can you rewind a little bit and touch on what we are doing?
We were going to do professional development update in June, so do you want you want both?
I was just using that as an example of
Okay.
That was part of our initial strategic
Okay,
plan and goal.
one plan, okay.
There's so many things that we had for goals and strategic plans that have now come to fruition. Yes, professional development was only a piece of that. I was just using that as an example. I don't want you to do a lot of work, but you guys can check mark and just do brief updates when we do our strategic plan update. Like, this is the old one, look at, check here. We have Dr. Chris Treat, you guys read everything he does. You know, another one was our science, you know, our textbooks, and look, here, check this is what we're doing. So if you can just provide that when you do our update.
President Kaler, Board Member Reese, I'm thinking something similar to what we did in our retreat a few weeks ago, where we hit each one of those goals, and we'll do a quick summary of the progress made toward it. And we'll be happy to provide that update for the general public.
Thank you, because I think it's important. You guys do so much work, but you don't talk about it. There's so much that goes behind the scenes. Ms. Martins, Ms. Richards, I mean, everything we were talking about that you guys have done behind the scenes. I think that we just need a little moment to be able to show that and show everything you've done without creating a lot of work, please.
No problem.
Thank you. Anything else? All righty. We are going to go into a work study now at this time. Are we staying in this room or are we going to our educational conference room? Educational Services Conference Room, and we will be adjourning in there. So thank you and good night. That meeting is continued to be open public, so if you want to join us, you are more than welcome.